Okay, looks like we are now going to be ready. I've fat-fingered my hotkeys. So, I'm now trying to recall what sort of maps we saw in the last... I think c3mbrich actually picked Citadels as one of his maps last time. I feel like MrMorec tends to pick some more of the mixed maps with usually some maps with a little bit of water. I don't know why the images haven't loaded in properly here. I've just noticed that's a bit weird. Might have to talk to Carla about sorting that out. So we got Citadel. So yeah, actually Coastal banned by c3mbrich and Citadel banned for MrMorec. Maybe I'll just quickly refresh this. No, okay. I think wherever the images are being stored may have be out of date, so that might need redoing. Similar versus unresist slightly likely postponed. Okay. So Inside Out by c3mbrich. So he is going for those more closed maps again. MrMorec actually going with the more open maps with Sahara. Yeah, like I said, we might need to sort out the images for the Oasis. So both of the open maps up in, and plateaus. Okay, I think that's the first time I've seen plateaus this tournament. So it'll be interesting to see if we do get to that map there. And yeah, just to give everyone a reminder, it's best of 5. Both players get a ban, which is hidden, so both players can potentially ban the same civ. First pick is also hidden, so this can be the same civ as well. And then each player gets 6 civs total, just so that if it does go the whole distance, they do have a spare civilization. So they have 2 to pick from in the last game. They aren't just set on that last civ they have available. Okay, so in we go, and we'll see if we've had a few series where the Shang have slipped through the bans, and we'll see what we do get here. We don't really have a water map here. You know, we don't have a water map, so Minoan's not really going to be a contested pick this time. The other sort of good water civs of the Yamato and Phoenicians are much better on a lot of the other maps, so they still usually are quite highly contested, and we'll see what the bans are. So both players ban the Lac-Viat, and often is the case that both players then just pick the Shang. So that'll be interesting to see if anyone does go for something a bit more unorthodox. Assyrians by c3mbrich, and again, I don't know if this is just a little lack of AoE1 knowledge. I've gone on record again, as we all know, not a big Assyrians fan, so this is a big blunder in my opinion. Interesting that the Palmyrans have been picked up by MrMorec straight away, and obviously more open map civs. Persians, Yamato I think is just the best civ left in the map pool given this here, but obviously things like the Carthaginians and Phoenicians are still strong. Persians is a nice pickup when those more open maps are in the pool, but otherwise one of the sort of weaker civs in the game in my opinion. c3mbrich just having a little bit more of a think. Chosen, Hittites by MrMorec, I guess we're Inside Out and Phoenicians, and again this Yamato slipping this far down the draft massively surprises me, so c3mbrich does manage to pick that up. So yeah, a little bit weird order of picks. Everything loads for you images wise. Okay, I'll just have to, it might be like I have to like redo my cookies or something like that. And c3mbrich again having a little bit more of a think, and I think Carthaginians is just the obvious choice from the leftover civs, but Cimmerians is picked up, and Romans Carth. So this has been a very unusual draft. Obviously, like I said, MrMorec more of a DE player and c3mbrich more of an AoE2 player, so neither of these players sort of massively experienced in Return of Rome. Obviously, MrMorec has played in some tournaments in Return of Rome of the past, and the Egyptians is the last pickup. So curiously again that c3mbrich goes for Inside Out, and I think he did this before where he didn't really pick... yeah, he used Persians as his Citadel's pick last time. And yeah, going all the way to the end for like what most people would consider like a top tier Inside. I mean, Inside Out is a little bit more debatable than like Citadel's Egyptians is a top tier civ for sure. Inside Out is a little bit more unusual. It's like you're much closer together. It's those small walls instead of the medium walls. Does mean that you can more consistently get those early rushes out. Howdy hey, Wattle. Oh, you got the Nilly hippo there. That's nice to see. Nilly enjoy it. And now we just have to wait for the players to get themselves sorted out in a lobby. I believe c3mbrich, if I remember correctly, is Spanish. I could be remembering completely wrong there. Hopefully I'm not incorrect. And then MrMorec, I believe, is Macedonian, if my memory serves. So it shouldn't be too bad. I think maybe like an Eastern European server should be fine. I can't actually remember all this. I think there's a Western and Eastern European server, isn't there? Yeah, like I said, I don't really know what's going on with the images there. I'm just trying to refresh again. No, it just doesn't like it for whatever reason. I feel like when I first opened the draft, it was fine. Oh yeah, it is fine for the players as well. Also, it's weirdly, it's just my one that seems to be gone a little bit doolally. No, it is working there. Oh, it's working. Oh, no. Okay, it was just weirdly, it was just this one. Let me just try and reopen this then. There we go. Very strange. I don't know why that worked, but clicking a refresh didn't. That's very strange. What's the difference between F5 and... Okay. I must have accidentally muted myself there. I don't know exactly what. Unless... Maybe when I did the Control F5 thing, it muted my mic. I should like, I don't know, something. How much did I miss? How long was I silent for? Okay, looks like we are actually into game one. So yeah, sorry about the muted microphone. I think it was only very temporarily though. And yeah, obviously first map is Highland. I nearly clicked on the wrong lobby there. There's someone else playing in a lobby, which is good to see, but that's not the one I'm looking for. So we'll mute the music and get into game, and unfortunately not on the Rise of the Ancients patch. So I think there's a good chance.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I did try to respond to him as fast as possible. Yeah, I think they are just going to play it out. Obviously, we have the slightly altered map spawns for... Okay, fair enough. Let me just double check. So yeah, just a little bit of a false start there. I think they just... MrMorec just forgetting he needs the community patch versions of the maps, and I'm not sure if he had the data mod on or not. Actually, I think he did. Oh, he's got the old data mod. He needs the newer one. So yeah, just a little bit of a false start there, but I think MrMorec does know what he's doing. He's just a little forgetful there. But yeah, like you saw, I think he like he launched the game and then kind of remembered because he did pause the game and then message there, which was good. And yeah, hopefully we just get us back in very quickly. MrMorec set up a new lobby. Just need c3mbrich to join that as well. Like I said, it'll be very interesting to see how these two players do match up against each other. Jesse was saying that he didn't really feel like he tested c3mbrich as much as he might have liked to have done. But yeah, historically, MrMorec has been a slightly higher skill level. So it'll be interesting to see how that matches up. Again, c3mbrich more of an AoE2 player, so he probably doesn't have as much of the knowledge of the game, which maybe got a little bit reflected in the Civ picks there. I mean, some players just like the Assyrians, to be fair. I'm an Assyrian hater myself, as we all know, but some people do just like getting to Bronze Age and spamming chariot archers and having those strong chariot archer units. But yeah, personally, I just think the Hittites are just better Assyrians, so I don't think there's any scenario where I'd rather have the Assyrians than the Hittites. But here we go. We are now going again. We're on the correct data mod. Hopefully we have the map pack as well. And we are not on the correct map, sadly. But we'll just play it out. We'll play it out for now, and hopefully we'll get it right for the next map. Yeah, if you can maybe just like point it out for them again at the end of this game, Carver, and hopefully we can get them on the absolute correct settings. Obviously, the original Highland's still fairly similar. One of the major differences is the elephant spawn is a lot less consistent, but I will just focus on the game for the time being. Looks like MrMorec kind of overshot the central elephants there. Oh, he just narrowly missed them. He does spot one now. I don't think... Oh, no, both of them spot that one there. But yeah, obviously there will still be the central elephants, and I think the outer ring elephant haven't been changed either. It's just your home elephants, the range that they can be from your TC has been tightened up a little bit in the Rise of the Ancients version of the map, but we'll have a see what's tangling on down here. It's going to see that one other elephant as well. Is he going to get the block off? c3mbrich with a little bit micro at the villagers. Bring the second villager to try and field that one off. c3mbrich has the high ground here, so MrMorec does need to be careful. And if I was c3mbrich, I'd probably just tag this elephant and run. Ooh, that was very close. c3mbrich just about getting away with that. And I think at the end of the day, that probably is going to favour c3mbrich just slightly, because he's going to get those two elephants, and MrMorec had to commit the second elephant here. I've actually just noticed the civilizations that have been chosen here, and MrMorec going with the Hittites, which I was thinking was going to be his inside-out civ, and chosen from c3mbrich. I have seen the chosen often being picked on Highland. Sometimes people just use that as like a sort of throwaway civ to try if your opponent goes Shang on the first map, you don't want to play against Shang with one of your own strong civs because Shang is kind of just the best civ. So it's usually better to just face up with a slightly weaker civ and hope your opponent doesn't play well in that situation, or maybe you can just outplay him. So I don't mind that, but yeah, Hittites is very unusual for this map here. And like I said, c3mbrich getting that extra elephant. I think, yeah, just to go talk about the differences between the maps again for the ROTA version. I believe the other thing is that the woodline spawn has slightly changed, but I can't remember if that is true for Highlands or if it is for just a handful of the maps. Carl would be better at pointing that out, but I think some of the woodline spawns have changed for a few of the Rise of the Ancient maps, maybe not specifically Highland. But I know the elephant spawns is definitely a thing. So storage pit going up from MrMorec next to his gazelle there on that forward wood line. Just having a look at the base now. It's kind of got quite a big open area here, but that is wallable there. This may be a little bit more difficult. It's a bit further from the base. Maybe take a bit too long. I think that is just about closed off. And yeah, but on the other flip side, c3mbrich much more open on his base, so fairly open for both players, but maybe just a little bit less so for MrMorec. Villager coming forward for c3mbrich now, as he is on the way up to tool age, just a little bit faster than MrMorec is, and MrMorec's going to maybe spot. Yeah, they're definitely going to. Oh no, they're not going to see each other. Just going past. Two villagers from MrMorec going a little bit slower, and it's only 19 villagers for c3mbrich, so they've got the same idle TC time, but he went up one villager quicker, or less I should say, so he's a little bit quicker up. Barracks is going up now. Two villagers forward from MrMorec. I don't think, not quite seen his opponent just yet, but he's in the right sort of area. I guess he sort of saw when MrMorec was leading the elephant back, which was a very good tell for c3mbrich there. Whereas MrMorec hadn't really advanced as far into his opponent's part of the map. Obviously, it looks like he's a little bit off at the moment, so it may take MrMorec an extra half a minute or so to actually find his opponent. Tool age not quite in yet, so that is a second barracks coming up from c3mbrich, which may be just going to click axes straight away. Obviously the chosen with those slightly healthier axes, and also they get a slightly cheaper storage pit techs, which is going to be a nice boost in this early phase of the tool age. And we'll see if c3mbrich can get this to stick. Obviously just one or two clubbers or axes isn't really an issue if you've got that needlework technology in. MrMorec doesn't have that in just yet. He may start researching it now, although he doesn't feel too afraid yet. Archery range going up for MrMorec. And let me just have a look. Axe upgrade is in now. Still no. Yeah, so a single axer is going to be... Oh, no armor actually in just yet. It's just being researched now. But these villagers, without the needlework in, are going to be suffering. And these early axes are going to be able to do a lot of damage. A couple of close walls. I think he doesn't need this second one here. Archer range forward as well from c3mbrich to follow up one of the axes. And slingers being added as well. c3mbrich's running a little bit short of food. He's got clubbers in his own base to deal with. And I didn't see... yeah, no upgrades for these clubbers yet. So now needlework is in for c3mbrich. He can actually just beat these clubbers one-on-one. And MrMorec fighting back, but again, no needlework in, so it's going to be a little bit tough. But eco kills are back and forth. c3mbrich needs to be a little bit less afraid here. Again, this may be just a little bit of lack of knowledge of Return of Rome. You can easily beat that many clubbers with this many villagers. So c3mbrich being a little bit too scared there. Storage pit trying to go up in the middle of the map. It's a little bit of a dangerous place to try and get that, because if MrMorec does try to push forward, you'd imagine that like that area of the map is probably where he would try to push through. But 4 eco kills for c3mbrich, so it has technically done a little bit more damage, and you can see is MrMorec actually adding in villagers. c3mbrich, where is he on food? He's just on these berries at the front, but I think, yeah, MrMorec is going to spot that now, so clubbers might be pulled through. And I'm amazed MrMorec's managed to get so much damage done with just clubbers. Like, yeah, not a single upgrade on these clubbers, and c3mbrich is playing far too timidly against those. And again, maybe just a little bit of lack of experience. c3mbrich does have like the more powerful army himself, and it has managed to get a handful more villager kills actually in as I was speaking. Maybe I was just looking at the wrong part. But clubbers in again. c3mbrich not paying attention, but yeah, again, c3mbrich could easily take this fight with needlework villagers. So this is just a little bit clumsy. I don't know exactly. I guess he's focusing over here. And just a little bit lack of multitasking from c3mbrich here. Early game. Still in the balance though. 6-6 now. And I feel like c3mbrich would be like winning this by an absolute landslide, but unfortunately, like I said, just doesn't seem to be able to focus on both sides of the battle on the map at once. You just see all these villagers just be individually being chased down. I feel like I've just never seen... Okay, finally starts clubbing the villager. With the villager, sorry. Now c3mbrich should be easily able to clear this up. And now the battle reigns forth here. But I think, yeah, MrMorec now has enough bowmen to beat this back. And these are Hittite back. GG's just called. And that was... not the... I don't want to be like overly critical, but that was a fairly poor early game from c3mbrich there. He put himself into a very good position initially, but then he just panicked way too much. Those clubbers, like I said, they had 0 pit upgrades. They didn't have AXA, they didn't have tool working, they didn't have level armor, and c3mbrich got that needlework straight away, which was a good reaction. But then he just, all of his eco force idle. He ran out of the berries, I guess. Maybe he just didn't have access to the food. Yeah, he didn't find the other berries there, and he hadn't found his other elephant. In fact, he didn't find either of his base elephants, which again, that's one of the things that the ROTA version of the map does, is make those elephants a little bit more consistently closer to the base. So arguably, you could say, well, I think c3mbrich's gameplay wasn't the best there. So MrMorec going up a fairly quick 1-0 with the Hittites there. Like I said, unusual civ to pick on the map, but it's worked out for him. And then hopefully they get the right versions of the map now. I will just go back to the draft. But yeah, I feel like c3mbrich had himself set up there and just... he was doing his attack and just completely wasn't paying attention to what was going on at home. So c3mbrich does lose on the Chosen. And like I said, I think that is one of his weaker civs, to be fair. So maybe not the end of the world. MrMorec, like I said, now no longer has those Hittites for Inside Out. I guess you could argue Palmyreans would be pretty good on Inside Out. So maybe that could be the pick there. I've seen quite a few people play Romans and Inside Out as well, just for that nice, cheaper building bonus, just giving you a little bit of eco freeing up, and then you can try and push forward with the towers as well in the early game. And so it's c3mbrich's pick of map now because he lost, so you'd expect him to go to one of his home maps, but obviously he doesn't have to do that. And let's have a look. So we are still currently hovering Highland, which I'm sure will change in a moment. So yeah, like I said, unfortunately we didn't quite have the correct map there, but I think arguably the map didn't really make the difference. It was, like I said, c3mbrich is kind of like overly scared of those clubbers. Oh yeah, the map is just smaller on the original version of the map. You are correct. So, okay, so Inside Out is going to be the map of choice. So, I feel like you wouldn't want to pick Palmyrans on Sahara or Oasis. So I feel like maybe Palmyrans could be the Inside Out pick. I mean, Shang you can basically play anywhere. I think I'd prefer Shang on a more open map though, just because they are very strong in the early game. And c3mbrich, you could pick the Egyptians or you could pick the Assyrians. Either of those is fine. I would personally prefer the Egyptians, but obviously c3mbrich seems to like the Assyrians a bit more. So maybe that goes up there. But then, yeah, I'm not exactly sure where... I mean, he's got the Sumerians as well, but again, I just would prefer the Egyptians. But then he'd pick the Egyptians last. So I'm a little bit like... It's a little bit hard for me to read what c3mbrich's thought process is here, just because it's quite unusual from what I expect from Return of Rome players. And I've only seen one series from c3mbrich so far, and like I said, in that one he pulled out the Persians on citadels, which did work out for him, to be fair, although I think on a better day Jesse probably would have won that game. Made quite a few mistakes in that one, unfortunately. And yeah, so we're both in the lobby. So I think we're ready to go. I think we're just like making sure we have... There we go, we've got the ROTA version of Inside Out now. So we're on the correct versions of the map. Obviously it doesn't make as big of a difference to the closed maps, I don't think. It's more important for those more open maps. But obviously you still have a little bit more space for each of the players on the ROTA versions of the map. And I think we should be able to get ourselves into game 2 fairly quickly. And like I said, there shouldn't be as punishing of an early rush. Obviously both players with that surrounding wall to start with. You can still do a rush of sorts on these maps, but it's not the same as in the open maps where you've got axes in your base as soon as like Tool Age begins. It's more, we get to the Tool Age and when we start throwing in some slingers and trying to knock some walls down. But like I said, it will be interesting to see what the civ picks are for this one. I think I'm going to say that it is going to be the Palmyrans for MrMorec, but again, I'm not sure c3mbrich. And obviously, my gut would say it's Egyptians, but I'm just not used to c3mbrich's style of play. Okay, so we are in. So away we go. And I have called MrMorec correctly. He is the Palmyrans, but it is in fact the Assyrians from c3mbrich, which again, if you can get to that Bronze Age and get those chariot archers massed up, that's not the worst civ to have. But again, it just makes me question, why not Hittites? Why not Hittites first? So in we go to game 2 of our best of 5 between MrMorec and c3mbrich in the lower bracket of the Earth to Iron 1v1 tournaments. And let's have a look at the map here, because like I said, we have MrMorec on the Palmyrans, c3mbrich on the Assyrians. And both players have a berry patch forward. That's sort of the main sort of random element to this map spawn. Sometimes you get 2 back here, but both players have 1 berries back, so it's a little bit more balanced. c3mbrich's berries in a little bit more awkward position. He may have a tough time finding those ones, as you normally expect for your berries to sort of be around the back, this area here. So it's a little bit unfortunate the spawns there. It might, like I said, be a little bit tougher for c3mbrich to find those. There you can see the more consistent spawn from MrMorec. Sometimes you do get them sort of spawned by the edge, like here and here. But like because c3mbrich is kind of on the corner here, it makes that spawn a little bit more awkward. And so it'll be interesting. I'm trying to think of how this game might play out. I think this is probably just going to be a fast bronze situation. And I think, to be fair, in the early phases of the game, the Assyrians may have a bit of an advantage just because they have that stronger chariot archer if it does go to the Bronze Age, of course. But then if MrMorec can hold, then I think just the much stronger economy of the Palmyreans should eventually shine through. Also, Palmyreans do get nobility on their chariot archers, so even though they don't do as much damage, they can tank a few more shots. Katie's calling a total massacre. I mean, neither of these civs is like massively strong in the early game. You can do some shenanigans with Palmyreans. I'm still not convinced. I ran some of the numbers and I'm still not convinced that it is a good play as the Palmyreans. But some players do like to go 16 pop up as Palmyreans and then just try and play off the 16 vills. I've seen it before. I'm sure I'll see it again. But it's much better to just go a strong early game civ and rush with them than do that as the Palmyreans. But yeah, MrMorec is already on 20 vills, so it isn't going to be that. 21 vills for c3mbrich going up. So sort of the middle ground from the normal fast tool and the fast bronze number of villages. Normally it's around sort of 23 villages. MrMorec going maybe a few villages too many because, like I said, he is Palmyrean. So those are more expensive villages, and does mean he's going to have a pretty strong economy once he gets himself up to that age. It just means he's going to be a little bit more vulnerable for a little while longer. But again, Assyrian's not the best at doing anything early on, mostly because they don't get the slinger, so it's almost impossible for them to really break through the walls in the early game. But barracks is going to come up, but again, the Assyrians do not get the slinger, so this push is going to be very weak if that is what we are going to see. Hopefully c3mbrich is aware that the Assyrians don't get the slinger. He's only on the single barracks for the time being, that said. This might just be a poker. I mean, he has 2 villages though, so it feels like it must be something more serious than that. And MrMorec is on the way up. And second barracks is going up. There's no clubbers in the queue. Archery range. Okay, cancels the archery range now. But archers do a pathetically low amount of damage to walls. It's actually, they do the lowest, which is 0.2 damage per shot. So it's like literally takes them 5 shots to do 1 damage to a wall. Some clubbers are coming out. And bows are coming in, and this is the sort of position where MrMorec could literally just put down a tower and he'd be completely fine. And obviously to have to research that, he doesn't quite have the food actually to go straight up. He is making slingers. I think the best response here would literally just to plant down a tower though. But slinger is also fine. Battle axe coming in, and MrMorec will need to do something to react to this. He doesn't want to just let his gate go down, but it looks like he's actually not going to go for the fast bronze play now, as he is committing a large number of resources. He's built the 2 barracks, yeah, quite a large number of resources to the slinger. Market is down as well, so I suspect we'll see stone mining being clicked as soon as MrMorec remembers to do so, unless he already has done it. I don't think I did see it. Okay, it doesn't show stone mining on here. For some reason I don't get this. It shows gold mining and not stone mining. But yeah, wall being repaired, and the bow's not being able to do enough there. Villages still being added in by c3mbrich. Obviously, like I said, Palmyran villages are going to have that extra 25% working bonus. And we'll see how this woodworking, interestingly, in first. I mean, obviously, it is just nice to have that as an eco bonus to all your woodworkers. But it's a little bit curious that stone mining wasn't the first click. And oh, we don't have conquest victory on. God dear me. So hopefully that doesn't make a difference. Well, I mean, I guess MrMorec can just go up and claim the ruins if he's that worried. I mean, I can't see this staying in the Tool Age. The MrMorec's on 29 vills as the Palmyrans. He's going to have 800 food very soon. And yeah, it looks like c3mbrich isn't making units anymore. And he looks like he is just working to the Bronze Age. So again, I don't really know what the idea was here. Again, like I said, Assyrians don't get Slinger, which makes those early rushes very difficult for the Assyrians. Because you can just tower or bow of your own from behind your walls, and it makes it very difficult for them to come through, because you can just... Yeah, in fact, bowmen I think is better to defend against the Assyrians, because you don't need to attack the Assyrian bowmen, you just need to get rid of the axes. But yeah, c3mbrich clicking up to Bronze Age, so there was just a little bit of early tussling around, and Bronze Age for MrMorec as well. But at this point, 32 villagers for the Palmyrans, and that's obviously 20, like I said, effectively 40 villagers at this point. So we have a look at the resources gathered. I'm sure that the gap is already opening. Yeah, it's already over 1,000 difference, and that's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger of a gap. Like I said, the Assyrians do have those... Ooh, stable actually came up at the back, I'm not sure when that did come up. And okay, c3mbrich did find his berries as well. But yeah, so the Assyrian chariot archer is quite nice, but I think it's just going to be easier for the Palmyrans to just mass more chariots, as well as, like I said, they get the nobility, so once that is in, it kind of negates a small amount of the Assyrian bonus as well, because the Assyrians don't get nobility, of course. Taking gold. I mean, he may be considering cavalry. He did make a stable. But yeah, that is a little bit curious. Obviously, you do expect just chariot archer as the initial play. We're still only on the single archery range from c3mbrich. And I have a scout actually coming out from MrMorec, and just the bear getting a little bit involved in the tussle there. Government centre coming up from MrMorec. And interestingly, he's getting the upgrades for that scout. And maybe he's gonna... Oh, it looks like he's seen the berries here. He wants to just get the scout in there. I mean, if c3mbrich does get needlework, though, the scout is going to be not very useful. But obviously, that is still a commitment of TC time. MrMorec floating a lot of wood. But, I mean, the scout is going to get value in. So that is going to be 2 vills killed. So you could argue that's already value out of those pit techs already for MrMorec. And nobility is already coming in as well. No wheel yet, unless... Is wheel in? That doesn't look like wheel speed to me. So I don't know if MrMorec's just forgotten to click wheel. Maybe just didn't have the food at the time. Might need to cancel a few villagers just so he can click wheel in. And yeah, chariot archers are coming in now for c3mbrich. Again, I'm not 100% sure why we have 4 on gold. It's a little bit unusual. And now we've got artifacts. I've actually never seen that before in Capture Age. That's all the artifacts held. Yeah, obviously we should technically be on conquest, but it's very unlikely the game actually gets decided by any sort of control condition. And these tool units just going to get taken out by MrMorec there. So actually this thing can still be a little bit of a threat in terms of being able to punch through yeah, the wall hit, and he is going to be able to do so. MrMorec actually committed to making some cavalry units, which is a little bit of a surprising one. Palmyrians, I should say, do get the, I think it's the faster moving camels, which can be a fairly decent answer into chariot archers, but obviously cavalry can be pretty good before those chariot archers get massed up too much. Stone thrower coming out for c3mbrich at home. But yeah, not any immediate push out, and as I said, the longer this game goes, the more it favours the Palmyrians, and the slingers are actually in. And yeah, because all c3mbrich was making was chariot archers, which aren't a very good unit to deal with the slingers. c3mbrich trying to beat them back. No needlework in means these slingers are going to get an enormous amount of damage in. And c3mbrich is GG's. And that was strange. Like I said, they could punch through him, but we all watched it do it. And c3mbrich had the stable, he has the gold, he could have just made a handful of cavalry there. And I don't, yeah, just, I'm not really sure that he had a while to try and, I'm just trying to think what c3mbrich was really doing there. Because yeah, MrMorec started punching the hole through. At this point here, c3mbrich could have just added in a handful of cavalry. Like 3 cavalry easily clean this up. Just send his tool army in, but obviously stone mining slingers easily handle that. And c3mbrich, I don't know, say he was just setting himself up in terms of eco, the extra GCs coming down. Had all this, yeah, he could have just been making cavalry all this time. And in the end, it was a bit of an anticlimactic finish. Normally we get sort of either like one player's rushing in and it's the tense, or can he get the enemy out of the game in time or not, or in longer games it goes to big battles in the center of the map. Yeah, the slingers just ran in. No needlework in on the villagers. And c3mbrich did pull his wills. The only unit it had was cavalry archers to hand. Which, like I said, slingers aren't great at doing with cavalry archers just because of their range much longer, but then also chariot archers aren't hugely great at dealing with slingers either. And like I said, the Palmyrian advantage of the eco was always just going to work, yeah, over 3k resources in favour of MrMorec by the end there. So 2-0 to MrMorec. And unfortunately, I think c3mbrich's experiences, or lack of experience I should say, is working massively against him here. He has some sort of like base ideas of what he's doing, but then maybe not to like the next phases of the plan. So just go back to the draft here. So it looks like potentially c3mbrich may have dropped out and just conceded the last game. Which would be a sad way to end off the series. Like I said, did seem like MrMorec did have the upper hand, and maybe the game's not really going c3mbrich's way there. Though normally we do like to see players obviously play out the series that they've signed up to playing, so that's a little bit unfortunate.